Hey, you won't believe where the church is growing right now. Stick around for evidence that will change how you think about the gospel of Jesus Christ around the world. Right now, when most people hear about the word Iran, they think war, they think danger, they think regime, they think threat. But here's what most Christians have never really stopped to think about. It will change your perspective. Some of the boldest followers of Jesus in the world right now are in Iran. Not in comfort, not with freedom, not with cultural approval, but under pressure. And somewhere, one of the most hardest places on earth to follow Christ is in Iran, but the gospel is still spreading. Multiple Christian resources are describing the underground church in Iran is one of the fastest growing Christian movements in the world. Did you know that? Some survey data even suggests that Christianity in Iran has grown far beyond even the official state numbers. So here's the question. If Christianity is growing in Iran under pressure, what does that have to say about the power of the gospel to transform culture? And what does it say about the church in the West? Think about that. So this video is not about how good Iran is. This is a video about what happens when Jesus becomes known in places where following him can cost you everything. This is not about me pretending that persecution is good or acceptable, but Iran's government continues to pressure religious minorities, including Christians. UNICEF says that the government systematically targets religious minorities and dissenters. For instance, a 2025 annual report says that conditions remain poor. Recent report also suggests that persecution intensifies further with Christians in Iran receiving more than 280 combined years of prison sentences in 2025. So the tension in this video is not political approval. It's not about that at all. The tension in this video is how is it that the church continues to grow in areas where it costs its members everything. So this is what you really need to hear. The church in the West, we assume the church grows where it's most comfortable, where it's most visibly influenced by social power. But in Iran, the Iranian Christian narrative challenges that assumption, because in Iran, following Jesus means surveillance, exclusion, prison, or even worse. Matter of fact, Christians in Iran face heavy systematic pressure, especially converts who go from Islam or those who are in house church. And yet the gospel continues to grow. Let that sink in. That should get your attention because it says to you and I that Christianity is still growing where the gospel is under the most repressive conditions. And I have biblical proof to prove that is actually true. All right, let's talk Bible. In the New Testament, it speaks to this phenomenon that the church has always had a strange relationship with pressure. In the book of Acts, the gospel grows through closed doors. It moves through persecution, through scattering, suffering, and yet through witnessing. That's powerful. So the early church didn't grow because the world welcomed it. It grew because Jesus was worth suffering for. And that's why the Iranian Christian question matters spiritually, because it confronts a very modern lie. And that lie says that faith grows stronger when it is safest. But historically and biblically, that is often not true. Very often, the church becomes clearest when it costs to become visible. Not to mention this truth, discipleship grows when it is tested. And that's what makes the story of Christians in Iran so powerful. And not because suffering is holy in and of itself, and not because persecution is something good or to be desired, but pressure reveals where the faith is culturally comfortable or if faith is real and organic. Recent Christian reports describe hundreds of thousands of Iranian believers, many connected to underground churches and fellowships, and these networks note that movement has kept growing among Christian communities even under intense hostility, and that's encouraging. So there's one survey that says that 1.5% identify as Christians. Even Christianity Today says that at least 100,000 or hundreds of thousands of believers and potentially more than 1 million are present in Iran. The deeper issue is, what kind of Christianity survives when props, platforms, lights, and cameras go away? The gospel doesn't need cultural power to spread. All right, I'm getting excited, but let me give you 3 pillars or reasons you need to know and you need to think about when it comes to understanding how the gospel grows in pressure. Number one reason why the Iranian church gets attention is because it doesn't fit our assumptions. We often think Christianity grows on stages and on platforms. Not so. It can move through courage. It can even move through fear. It can move through governments that's trying to stop it. And that should humble us here in the West. And a comfortable setting means that the gospel can grow. It's not the truth. Sometimes we act like faith can't survive without stage and without applause. Iranian Christians says otherwise. So if you believe that God is building a new church, type something new in the comments. Number 2, persecution can expose the difference between cultural Christianity and costly discipleship. For instance, who is Christ when following him calls to your status, your safety, and your freedom? What makes the Iranian situation so confronting to the American church is that it challenges how we see God, how we see the Bible. In 2025-2026 report shows that arrests and persecutions and prison sentences rose sharply for Christians, especially those who were new converts and those who were in house churches. Matter of fact, UNICEF and the State Department continues at this moment to document severe restrictions for religious freedom of those in Iran. So this is not a cheap story. This is not that at all, but this is a formation that you need to see what Christianity looks like without Western lenses. So listen, this is not revival. It's not branding. This is discipleship. I like to call discipleship under pressure because it matters, because it forces us to ask hard questions. Would my faith survive, for instance, if it wasn't convenient for me? A stronger gospel says Jesus is worthy to be followed even if it costs me everything. The church in Iran testifies a very important second point. Not perfectly, not romanticizing it, not without fear, but they're serving God and they're serving Christ in truth and in faithfulness. Now think of it this way. If new believers come to Christ in places where the state punished them for becoming Christians, but the gospel is still growing, it's because it's not fashionable, but because people are encountering something in someone that they're having an experience that has the potential to not only change them, but the entire culture, and that's exciting. Hey, that's why this story matters, because it reminds us that the church is not built on convenience. It is built on the power of the Spirit working in and through lives, changing people and changing systems. Type Spirit in the comment and make sure you also watch the video after this one. The point is this: Jesus is still building his church in places throughout the world that many would assume it should not grow. And that truth should challenge every shallow version of Christianity we have learned to live with in the West. Because if the gospel can grow in places like Iran under pressure, then the question is not whether Christianity can survive in hard conditions. The question is whether we have settled for a version of faith that only works when it's easy, when it is convenient, and when it's capitalized or mixed with politics. Remember, Jesus don't ride on the backs of donkeys or elephants. Jesus is not a political party. So here's the formation challenge I'm going to give to you. Pray for Christians in Iran. Pray for those who are underground and hiding because they're concerned that they will lose their lives. They'll lose their church. They will lose everything in their lives. Pray for them. And also pray for religious freedom, okay? Now, I got something to ask you. Do I want to live a faith or have a faith that I can stand or it can stand in hard times? Because the Iranian church is not just a news story. It's a mirror to how Christianity can survive and how we may need to change the church where we are. Now, before you go, I got 3 things. Number 1, I need you to drop a comment below and answer this question. Do you think the church grows stronger in comfort or under pressure? Number 2, share this video with everyone, especially those who are new to faith in the gospel of Jesus Christ. I wish I knew this early on in my faith journey. It would have really shaped how I live my life and how I perceive Christianity and the American culture, okay? The 3rd thing, simple. Subscribe by hitting that button below if you want more content like this. Biblical truth for real world. Christianity, courage, and a theology that actually costs you something. A gospel that changes individuals that then go out and change the world to make it a better place, because that is what we do here. Jesus is not weak. The church is not fragile, and the gospel is not trapped by a regime, politics, or presidents. Pray for me because I'm praying for you. I'll see you in the next video. Salute. Peace.
I need that peace of mind. A wise man once told me, seek it and ye shall find. I guess I'm walking blind. Even if I couldn't read, I read between the lines. That's called even at odds. I just leave it to God. I'm not